Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this message brought to you by Friday Night Light Ministries. For more information, check us out on the web at fridaynightlight.us.
If we can just keep our eyes focused on Him, it really is all well. It doesn't matter what's going on around us or what we're going through, it is all well. So I am super excited for you guys to hear John's testimony. I don't know if you know, some of you might know a little bit of it, but we've known John since he was in 8th grade. We met him at a 30-hour famine event, and now he's a sophomore at Ferris State for now. You can find him on Instagram at @TheJohnMoon because
he is the John Moon.
He is the John Moon. And we know he has a call and anointing on his life. And so we're excited to be part of it and to push him and encourage him toward that goal, because we know that someday we're going to see him in front of thousands of people bringing him to the Lord. So, do you need the podium? Okay.
Hi everyone. Hi John. So my name is John, in case you don't know me.
Or Moon.
So basically, I'll just dive right into it. Some of you might have heard this story. If you've served in Resistance or in Kids when we were at Road to Life Church, you've heard this a million times. But I feel like I've told a lot of like the younger kids, my testimony, and I feel like it's never really reached like the adults, you know what I'm saying? So I thought, well, why not, give it a share. So basically, here's what happened. My sophomore year of high school was coming to a close, and I had these really, really bad back pains, neck pains, and these really bad headaches. These back pains were so bad that it just felt like I had like 5-pound weights all over my back. And it was really hard for me to bend down and do this. I had these really bad neck pains, I think it was muscle stiffness, that's what it was. Now if you don't know anything about muscle stiffness, it basically prevents you from doing that.
Yeah.
And so if I wanted to look right or if I wanted to look left, I would have to, shift my whole body over. And that was super annoying. And I had these really bad headaches. These headaches were so bad that I actually made a nickname for them. I called them suicidal headaches. The reason why I called them suicidal headaches was because, well, when I had them, I actually, for a split second, considered ending my own life. Because that's how bad these pains were. I thought, well, I don't want to live like this. I don't know what's going on, and I hate this feeling. So why don't I just walk over to the kitchen, grab a little knife, and just end it all? Now, obviously, I'm not stupid, and I wouldn't do something as dumb as that. But that's, if that gives you an idea of how bad they were, that's where I was. So, I'm thinking, okay, these are probably just migraines, I knew that migraines are worse than normal headaches, so I thought, well, these are worse than normal headaches, so therefore, these are migraines. And so I took aspirin, Tylenol, whatever, and, in the hopes that it would cure it. I lived this way for about a month, 2 months, 3 months, just every day.
Several months.
Yeah, several months. It was a lot. And I remember one time I was in school, right, and I'm sitting in my math class and I'm feeling horrible. I'm sweating bullets. I am not feeling good. And the bell rings and everyone gets up to go to lunch, and I'm staggering out the classroom, trying to, just stand on my own 2 feet. And I soon realized I can't do it. Like, I have to lie down, I have to take a nap or something, because I can't walk to the lunchroom. I just don't have the strength to do it. And so I called my teacher and I'm like, hey, can I lay down for a minute? I don't feel very good. And so she gathers a bunch of desks together, puts a little pillow on top, and she says, go ahead, lay down. So I lay down, and as soon as my head hits the pillow, I black out. I have no idea what's happened to me after that, but I wake up and I see the ambulance, I see my parents, the principal, what happened? He said, John, you had a seizure. I go, really? Like, that's crazy. Because I didn't feel it. I thought I was asleep, but I guess I was having a seizure. And so what happened was the paramedics were like, all right, we need you to schedule a little CAT scan on the last day of school. So I said, all right, cool. I'll schedule that. And so the last day of school comes around, and it's 6 in the morning, and I go to Lakeland Hospital, and I do a CAT scan, and I go to school, finish my last 2 exams. And after I finish my last exam, I pull out my phone, like most high school kids do, and I checked it, and there was a text from my dad. It basically read, John, come out now. This is an emergency. You don't have a minute to waste. So I freak out. I burst out the front doors, hop into my dad's car, and say, Dad, what's the matter? And he says, John, those pictures came back from the CAT scan. Basically, you have a tumor in your head. And we need to go to the University of Chicago Hospital right now. I didn't have time to, go home and mentally prepare myself. I just whisked away. And so fast forward, we're at the hospital, I'm sitting in the room with my surgeon, and basically he's looking at these pictures, right? And he's saying, John, this is a huge emergency. Based on what I'm looking at, based on the size of the tumor, yada, 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 it's my professional medical opinion that you should go into brain surgery right now. I'm ready, my team is ready, let's make this happen. All we need is your okay. Basically, at that moment, I didn't have time to stop and take a day to prepare. Oh, what am I going to do? Basically, I just had to put my whole faith and my trust in the hands of this doctor that basically had, a couple hours to prepare, because I had only taken the morning of. And so what happens is I say, okay, if it's really what you think I should do, let's do it. And so I'm getting ready and all that stuff, and they're marking my head for the incisions and everything. And I remember I have my family, my pastor, some close friends around me, and I'm praying. And the pastor goes, John, you want to pray? And I said, okay, sure. And I closed my eyes for a minute, and I prayed, I think, the hardest prayer I've ever had to pray in my whole life. And that's this: God, I want to live. I want to get through this surgery without any repercussions. I do. But Lord, if this is your way of bringing me home, if this somehow is in your will, and you're going to one day turn it around and use it for my good, then God, no matter what I have to go through, even if it means I lose my own life, Lord, I'm game. I'm game. And I'm so thankful that, as the surgery goes by, obviously I'm okay. Obviously I'm fine. But I remember I'd wake up after surgery, right? And, I can remember my name, my family. I know who they all are. Everything's good. And the doctor walks up to me and he's like, John, we're so thankful that we did the surgery when we did. And I said, why is that? Basically, he said, the reason why is because based on the amount of cerebral spinal fluid, based on the location, size of the tumor, all this stuff, again, it's my professional opinion that if we had waited about a day to do this surgery, you probably would have fallen into a coma and you would have died. And when I heard this, I instead of being thankful to God that I was alive and I was fully functional and everything was okay, instead of being thankful, I said, God, how could you? God, how dare you? How dare you bring me one day away from death? I served you so faithfully throughout my youth since I was in 7th grade. God, how could you do this to me? How could you put my family through that? How could you put us in financial turmoil? How could you do all of this? If you are a good father like you claim to be, God, how is this possible? And for a long time, this is the kind of attitude I held. Yes, I went to church every Sunday. Yes, I went to listen to pastors, did the whole worship thing. I knew all the answers in my head, but in my heart, I was as dead as could be. I said, God, I hate you. I remember one time sitting in the back of Road to Life's church pew while worship is going on, and everyone is jumping and having a good time, and I remember sitting back there, shaking my fist at God, saying, God, I'm done. I'm done being a Christian. I'm done going through this. If this is how hard that the enemy is working to take me out, then let him do it. I quit. Because the pain is too unbearable. The pain is ridiculous. think, through the help of my community, Shane and Kara especially, walking me through it, talking me through it, guiding me through this really, really dark shadow and dark period in my life, I've come to realize that, I might have my days where I just want to give up. I might have my days where I just feel like I can't carry the weight of it anymore. But through them, I've learned one important thing, and it's this: that God still is a good, good Father. And the way He revealed it to me was basically this. He said, John, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine this. Let's pretend you're 13, 14 years old, and you're standing in some street corner at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning where you shouldn't be, hanging around people you shouldn't be. Let's pretend I was your pastor, and I was with my wife, and I was coming home from a conference or whatever, and I drove by, and I looked out my window, and I saw you standing there. And I was your pastor, and since I have my family in the car, I would pull over, and I would say, get in the car. And I would take you home. And I wouldn't be mad at you. No, I would be mad at your father. I would say, sir, you are a derelict, resentful father, that you would allow your child, your son or daughter, to be out under those circumstances. And I want you to know something. God is not a derelict father.
That's right.
When I even choose to run away sometimes, it's God who comes after me and says, no, even though you feel like giving up, even though you feel like quitting, I won't let you. I'm coming after you with everything that I am.
That's right.
Praise God.
That's right.
As I look back on this experience in my life, I hate talking about it. I do. It's a really, really hard thing. But I recognize that, that I think God has worked more powerfully in that season of life than He has in any other. And I'm so thankful for it in the end. So, that's that. Thanks.
What he didn't say was he went through several months of chemotherapy and then radiation, right? Which was incredibly difficult. And he had the helmet, which was very painful, and anyway, look what God can do.
Yes, He can.
Look what God can do.
Yes.
Yes.
Because John is like a son of ours in the Lord.
That's right.
And we love him. He knows that.
That's
And
right.
we know God has a call in his life.
That's right.
And God uses doctors as well as miracles of healing. And that can still be a miracle. And God is here. John is here with us today because God's favor, because He orchestrated everything. We really knew that, believe that. I understood where John was coming from during those times, going through that, right? And we didn't bash him, but we just stood firm in that God loves you, to let him go through the time he was going through. And he's here today.
Yeah.
And serving the Lord and loves God. He could have been like, I'm out of here. He wanted to be out of here. Like, not as in dead, but as in like, F you, God. I'm sorry, but that's where... Sorry, take that for what it is. That's me. That's what you got when you came here. Okay, so, thank you, John. That was awesome. I love it. It never gets old for me.
Never.
I love it. I love it. I just love how awesome God is. So, we have some...
We have another quote of his: God is not a derelict father.
God is not a derelict father. And tonight, I'm going to look up the definition of a derelict. If there is a supreme race, I'm telling you, John, he knows it. Asians are very smart. John never ceases to impress me. He's very intelligent. That's a gift from God.
Well, his dad did make him do math problems for fun in the summertime.
Yeah, it's punishment. So I always thought, man, that sounds awesome. I'm thinking like 2 plus 2. He's like, no, these are math problems that take like a half hour to do. I was like, what? I'd have been beat all the time. If I had to do a math problem, it took a half hour. I couldn't have done it.
If you enjoyed this message today, be sure to like and subscribe. For more messages or to get plugged in, visit FridayNightLight.us.